some of the questions, I'll not just put them to the panelists. I'll also sometimes rope in Titi Lope, so that because some of these questions also mirror the kind of information that they've shared on their presentations. I will also occasionally rope in Dr. Bakar. And I think from where we left, we were discussing what are the hindrances, what are hindering women from progressively, from progressing within the cement industry and to get more women employed within the cement industry. And one of the things now that it's very clear, given the presentations that we've had, is that yes, we've got women accessing opportunities in the industry, but there still exists a culture of bias where there are some certain roles, as Precious has shared, that are somehow considered to be roles that are only exclusive to men. And I think we need to have a conversation how we can tackle that particular bias, so that, and especially for those of us who are in human resource management, so that when we see professionals, we don't see them from the basis of gender and other biases that we develop as human beings, and that could be race, that could be sexuality and other things, even nationalities, so that we see people for what they are, we see people for talent. And I think that is a conversation that is important for us to have. At this juncture, the other question that I want to ask the panelists, and then I will I will throw the question to the panelists progressively, is how do we mainstream, how do we make this gender agenda in the cement industry a boardroom issue, so that it's not just something that we discuss in forums like this, but it's something that we actually actualize in our daily places of work. And I would like Precious, if Precious is still with us, because she's now CEO, how is she in her own capacity mainstreaming the gender question within our own organization? The floor is yours, Precious. Is she still with us? Looks like I can't see her. I'll put this to Sherry. Sherry is in charge of human resources at Suez Cement, which is one of the biggest producers of cement in Egypt. How is she, as a director for HR, mainstreaming the issue of gender within the boardroom level, within the C-suite? Sherry, the floor is yours.
Actually, in Suez Cement here in Egypt, we have a very supportive management. Always they are supporting me, especially as a woman, and they giving me the chance to improve ourselves as women in the company. They give me a lot of opportunities. They ask me, they give us a lot of challenges, and I think we, me and my team, including some women in my team, proved good job and good results, and they are okay with it. And also when I asked to hire ladies in the company, they approved and support strongly to hire ladies and give them the chance as well to learn and to move within the company in several positions. Also, they give me a chance to promote two from our ladies in here to be like a union member, which is the first time in Egypt at all to have women in the union member, the union of cement plants, which is an achievement. Also that I was the only woman in the management team at the beginning. Now we have the legal director in the ExCom. She's a lady as well. I think we are lucky here in Suez Cement, and especially in Heidelberg, that they are believing women. And my boss always, Jose Maria, said that he believes in women and their capabilities, and they believes that their talents and they can do. And he's happy to have women in the company. I don't have a problem in gender in our company.
Thank you so much, Sherry. It is good to hear what what women executives are doing within their own positions as executives in these organizations to not only to empower women, but to grow their roles within the cement industry. And I think what we've heard from Sherry and the kind of appointments that the company is making with Sherry leading the HR role is quite commendable, given the cultural issues around the respectful.
Look, George, but I want to add that is because of our commitment. As ladies, got a lot of challenges here in the company. We showed commitment, which is led our bosses to believe in women in this industry. I want to repeat again, our lady who hired as a process engineer, she's a young lady, but she proved herself. And she now will be promoted. She will get a promotion, and they prefer her more than her colleagues, which is I consider it like an achievement for women in the company, in the industry as well.
That is great, Sherry. I think these stories this is not that we are pressed for time, but I think these stories need to be told more every time. If you look at our list of top cement executives for 2020, the only woman on that list is Dr. Noli, who was previously with Dangote. So as the effort, the only way for us who are not working in your respective companies, the only way for us to see that there's an effort towards there's that commitment is to see more women rise to the top. We've seen, like, for example, if we do an analysis of our top 30 women for 2020, you'd find some companies are more prominent on the list than others. So we expect probably when you're doing our list for 2021 that we'll have more cement companies joining our list because of the kind and the number of the kind of female talent that they've actually employed in 2021. I would like to throw the question to Dr. Noli. How do we, because you've served in the C-suite within the industry, how do we mainstream and how do we make this gender parity issue a boardroom agenda, so that it's not just a talking point, it's not just a PR thing, because in business PR is very big. And as I quote Sherry, how do we entrench this commitment within the C-suite? The floor is yours, Ndindi.
George, I think that's a beautiful question, and quite frankly, you've put together a great panel of women experts, and they've really touched on all the issues or many of the issues. I think the question of mainstreaming is absolutely critical. I think one of the ways, even though you say PR is not that important, awards like this and the flashlight that you're putting on the awards and also on convening this discussion among the women is really critical and important. So thank you for that. Thank you also for the questions that you're asking. Sometimes it's really also about asking the right questions. And one of those questions is, how do you mainstream? And I have three thoughts, one of which will actually lean on Precious's thoughts, she's not here right now. One of them is, it must start from the board. It must be backed by the highest levels of governance. And the board needs to set targets. It needs to say, this is the target that we want to achieve, and make those targets public. And then what happens is that the system has got to measure a baseline, and it needs to track its progress. What does not get measured doesn't stay seen in the limelight. So that's really critical. To me, at Dangote, what really helped was couching this in the context of sustainability. So as a researcher and as an academic, and I'm still working in this regard, I had 15 years ago developed 7 pillars of sustainability, so that when you're talking about sustainability, one core aspect of that is actually the question of diversity and inclusion, and the positive impact that that has on risk management, on ensuring that there is a varied approach to solving problems in the workplace, in ensuring that, for example, and here I lean on Precious, when you talk about on human resources, that the work hours are more flexible. That is very important to women because they juggle many more things, but changing it for women will have a positive impact on men, because quite frankly, our children need their mothers and their fathers. And there are times when fathers are more critical And other times when mothers are more critical, the flexible work hours will benefit everyone. The question of health and safety is very real. And when you address the issue of health and safety for lactating mothers, you address it for everyone in the workplace. We need spaces to be more secure, more safe, more hygienic, because it's important for the health of all. The question of bathrooms, I've been through that myself, fighting for female bathrooms. It's a small issue, but it goes to things like parking in the right place where there's more safety, or it speaks to talking to people with special needs within the organization. Once you have an openness to that within an organization, things become better. Once you're motivating your workforce effectively and appropriately, you get better performance out of them. Many women stay in a workplace, not even for promotion or for more money. Sometimes they stay because they're able to work and balance home life at the same time. And it's better for society in general. So how do we mainstream? I would say on the one hand, ensuring there's board level commitment, that the board makes the right targets, that we're able to put in place systems to track targets. And secondly, to ensure that the impact of that trickles down to the lowest level of employee, and that you really embed that in policies that are equitable and inclusive and diverse. And third is, I think what's going on in the world at the moment, namely that finance has an increasing bias towards ensuring that there is more gender diversity and inclusion, because it's also good for risk mitigation. Women are moving forward as the most competent in their fields of expertise. Harris and Okonjo-Iweala are the latest, but there's a whole plethora of women in the world, and obviously among the qualified women you have on this panel, also in the cement and mining industry, and that's very key. And the last, which I would put on the mantle of everyone who's here, is the little things that we can do individually. So for example, mentoring or education or consciously recruiting with an interest to bring more women on board. All of these little things incrementally make a huge difference in terms of mainstreaming sustainability.
Thank you so much, Dr. Noli. Allow me to put the next question to the panel, and this question I would put it to Dr. Bakar, who's joining us from Egypt. How can we confront? You have the whole idea of empowering women from outside to join in. Then you have now women who are already in. How do we confront the limiting attitudes within the workplace so that women thrive? Because the workplace, the ecosystem at the workplace should also be in such a way that it allows women of talent and women of skill and women of dexterity to thrive. So how do we work around these confronting limitations within the workplace that hinder women to excel?
Our first, the first thing that happened, and the good thing is already women are there. Maybe they are not there enough. Maybe they are not there in the right place, but they are there. So this is the first step. The second step is how can women who are there can make a difference in the working environment to support other women? Because you would be surprised, and I'm talking here about North Africa, the sub-region, I know. Sometimes the worst enemy for a woman is the woman itself. So sometimes women do not support. Sometimes a woman would say, no, I don't want a lady or a female in my team. I'd rather have a guy who would go and he can stay late and he can, I don't know, do what. And so first thing is women needs to support women. Women needs to influence the decision-making that supports bringing other women in the working environment and make it livable. as we were discussing, how can you breastfeed, as one of my Egyptian colleague from Suez Cement was discussing, how can a lady or a female sleep overnight continuously or because she's working in shifts in the plant. This is one thing. How can we support her and have more of her? How can we make her an ambassador to us? Because the fact that you are there and you feel good about being there, how can we or someone like me in the communication department can make her our ambassador? This is how women can play a role. First, not do harm. Second, do good.
Thank you so much for Dr. Bakar, and we really appreciate the contextualization of this whole gender debate within North Africa, and for that we appreciate. It's always rare for you to get such multicultural insights from different parts of Africa in one room, and for that we really thank you for joining us this afternoon. Now, we're almost winding up, but it would be injustice for me to wind up without asking a very important question. Because sometimes leadership is a question of role modeling. If we want more women to join and become leaders and grow in the corporate world and then take on more responsibility, we're also talking about role modeling. What are the role models that we have in the industry? How well are we positioning the role models by amplifying the kind of achievements that they've done? And for this question, I would want to hear an experience not at the C-suite level, but from somebody who's actually working on the shop floor. Deborah Dunlady, I've actually mentioned about her on this particular, I've actually mentioned her in passing, that she actually achieved something which for me is a milestone. She was the first engineer to be employed among men at Ashaka Cement Plant, which is owned by Lafarge Africa out of Nigeria. And I would just want her in 2 minutes to share her experience so far and how she's becoming an example to other women at the grassroots, because when you leave work and you go back home, you also are a role model to many more people. How is she using her position to become an ambassador and a role model that other young girls can follow after her and become what she has become and get the kind of recognition that she has gotten so far very early on in her career. Deborah Dunlady, if you can hear me, the floor is yours, 2 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon all. My name is Deborah Dunlady. I'm female engineer, first female engineer in Ashaka Cement. I work with Lafarge Africa. Okay, as the first and only female engineer here in Ashaka, I had all the opportunities and the privilege to be myself as an engineer. First of all, I try to focus myself on being an engineer than being a woman in a workplace, in a male-dominated environment, because I try to remember who I am first as an engineer than to think of being a female. So when in the first place, I found myself amongst the male, I said, wow. But one good thing is I'm not the only one. I had all the support I needed from my senior colleagues in the head office. First of all, I really want to acknowledge, to appreciate the HR. She came personally from all the way from Lagos to Ashaka to say she would really want to see this female engineer. That's our former HR and HR director, Mrs. Fidelia Osimi. I really appreciate her mentorship. When she came, she said, I'm together with you. We will definitely carry you along, and you're not definitely going to be alone. So I really want to appreciate my female senior colleagues out there at the head office. Each time they visit Ashaka, the first person they want to see is Deborah. And it has really pushed me a lot. It has really helped me to know that I'm not the only one. I'm being carried along. So the second thing, I do not allow domestic worries to impact upon my confidence and focus at work. And this I achieve through balancing my work-life relationship effectively, and with much support and encouragement I get from my husband, because I'm married. So, and one good thing I do is a lot of challenges. Sometimes they feel like, okay, being a woman, okay, men first. But here in Ashaka, I get all the support and encouragement from the men. I always make sure that my voice is being heard. And I welcome every challenge as a gift to grow myself to be where I am today. So those challenges helped me, and they were like a stepping stone to develop myself with the belief I have in my mind that there is no such thing as failure. Being the first female engineer in Ashaka Lafarge Africa PLC, I had the great opportunity to discover myself as a woman. It has been a place where my voice as the only lady is being heard. In a meeting, I always try to speak out. I always try to make sure that I say something. And when I speak, the good thing is I attract all the attention. So as time goes on, I was moved by the huge number. I was not moved by the huge number of men against me. At a point, I feel like I dominate them. So it has been a great pleasure. It has been a great opportunity for me working here as a first female. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Deborah. That I think these are the role modeling is important, and without role models, without support, as you can see, and that's for this reason I had to bring in Deborah, because sometimes you need people behind you, you need people to push you, you need people to believe in you for you to achieve the kind of things Deborah is achieving. And for that reason, we can only appreciate the kind of environment that Lafarge Africa has provided. I think, Titi, I would give this to you in terms of role modeling. How do you see role modeling play in terms of empowering women to move forward? 1 minute.
Okay, thank you again, George. I think role modeling is very practical. You see someone, you think you like the person, you think you like, everything that that person is made of, and you are able to emulate that person in various areas. And talking about role modeling and women empowerment, gender equality, I think that is the way to go, because only a woman understands how another woman feels. At every point in time, only a woman would most likely, get into, all of those things that are associated with the woman, from mood swings to hormonal imbalance, to all of those things that are peculiar to the woman. And so when you see people who can carry themselves, who are ready to lead using all that they've got, who are ready to provide all of the support required, then that is one of the things that we can use to easily, get women to hold other women's hands to take them to the top. For us at Lafarge Africa, I would cite another example. Thank you for the insights you shared, Deborah. We have something called the Cement Professional Technicians Program, and it's a program designed for young school leavers. In addition to what that is, because it's a technical-based intervention for science-based young school leavers, we made it a point of duty to ensure that at least 30 to 40% of that group, is made up of girls, as it were. And one of the things that we are doing in that space is mentoring and coaching. You would see, Lafarge Africa's disposition to Deborah, for example, when the HR director had to visit her in our location. One of the other things that we are doing is we are learning to tell our stories more. We are learning to share more. And so through various internal and external platforms, we are supporting women, we are recognizing them, We are rewarding them for, all of the hard work and all of the commitment. And we continue to strengthen all of the work that we are doing in gender diversity by making sure that the voice of the woman is heard. She's supported as and when due, and we are creating solutions for them internally and externally to be able to thrive in a manner that they do not feel one less of themselves, and they have someone who they can also look up to say, when I have a challenge, when things are not going right, I know someone who I can call, I know someone who I can assess, who will support me through the process.